Welcome back to our channel. We're so glad you're here, and we thank you for your continued support, especially those of you who have joined us on Patreon. Your contributions, no matter how small, make a significant difference in helping us produce high-quality content. We're here to delve into another compelling story from the annals of history. But before we do, we'd love to hear from you, our valued viewers. What's a historical event you'd like us to cover next? Leave your suggestions in the comments below, and don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Now let's set the stage for today's story. Picture a typical American city nestled in the heartland. It's a place where people go about their daily lives, working, studying, raising families. The skyline is dominated by a 9-story federal building standing tall as a symbol of the city's growth and progress. This city, this symbol, are about to become the epicenter of a tragedy that would shake the nation to its core. Stay with us as we journey through the events of April 19th, 1995 in Oklahoma City. A warning to our viewers: the story we are about to tell involves a violent act of terror and may not be suitable for all audiences. April 19th, 1995 began as an ordinary day, but by its end it would be anything but. The sun rose over Oklahoma City, casting its early morning light on the hustle and bustle of a city just beginning to wake. Downtown, commuters were streaming into their offices, coffee in hand, ready to tackle another day. Local radio stations filled the air with the sound of the morning's top hits, interspersed with the occasional traffic update. Children, in their brightly coloured backpacks, were on their way to school, their laughter echoing down the tree-lined streets. It was, by all accounts, an unremarkable Wednesday morning in the heartland of America. Yet, unbeknownst to the people of Oklahoma City, a dark shadow loomed over this seemingly ordinary day. Today was the second anniversary of the end of the Waco siege, a 51-day standoff between the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Branch Davidians, a religious sect led by David Koresh in Waco, Texas. The tragic event ended in a devastating fire, claiming the lives of 76 people, including 25 children, and Koresh himself. The incident had sparked a deep-seated distrust in the government among certain factions, and the anniversary was seen by some as a date of significance. As the morning wore on, Oklahoma City went about its business, its citizens blissfully unaware of the sinister plot that had been set in motion. The city's skyline, dominated by the 9-story Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building, stood tall against the clear blue sky, a symbol of the city's growth and progress. Yet beneath the surface, the seeds of tragedy were being sown. The ordinary was about to give way to the extraordinary, the mundane to the horrifying. As the clock ticked on, the city, in its innocence, stood on the precipice of a historic catastrophe. As the city awoke, no one could have predicted the horror that was about to unfold. At precisely 9:02 a.m., a yellow Ryder truck packed with explosives detonated outside the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building. This explosion would become a moment forever etched in the annals of American history. The immediate impact of the explosion was cataclysmic. An entire side of the federal building was blown away, reducing it to a skeleton of steel and concrete. The shockwave reverberated through the heart of Oklahoma City, shattering windows for blocks around and raining shards of glass upon the streets. Buildings shook, people screamed, and a thick, acrid smoke filled the air. This was not a disaster that could be measured in mere physical destruction. The human cost was heart-wrenching. The blast claimed the lives of men, women, and children, cutting a brutal swathe through families and communities. The toll was 168 lost souls, each one a story abruptly ended, a future never to be lived. In the wake of the explosion, the city's emergency services sprang into action. Firefighters, police officers, paramedics, they all rushed towards the chaos, their sirens wailing an eerie counterpoint to the cries of the wounded. These were the first responders, the brave men and women who run towards danger when everyone else is running away. They were met with a scene of unimaginable devastation. The federal building was a smouldering ruin, its once proud facade now a gaping wound. Rescue workers began the grim task of searching for survivors, digging through the rubble with a grim determination. Every so often, a shout would go up, a sign of life, a beacon of hope amidst the despair. In the hospitals, doctors and nurses waged their own battles, fighting to save the lives of the injured. They worked tirelessly, their faces etched with exhaustion and the raw, visceral pain of what they were witnessing. In an instant, 168 lives were lost and over 500 people were injured. The Oklahoma City bombing was a tragedy of unthinkable proportions, a day of darkness that would forever change the lives of those who survived it. In the aftermath of the explosion, the largest criminal investigation in American history began. That's right, the Oklahoma City bombing was no ordinary crime scene. It was a puzzle of immense complexity, a labyrinth of clues and a race against time to catch the culprits. The initial stages of the investigation were nothing short of Herculean. Picture a vast sea of rubble and wreckage where once stood the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building. Amidst this chaos, a critical piece of evidence was unearthed. This wasn't a proverbial needle in a haystack, but close. It was a vehicle identification number, etched into the axle of the truck that carried the bomb. A seemingly insignificant detail, yet it held the key to unlock the identity of the perpetrator. The number led investigators to a Ryder truck rental agency in Junction City, Kansas. The agency provided a sketch of the man who had rented the vehicle, a man who called himself Robert D. Kling. But the man's true identity was soon revealed. His real name was Timothy McVeigh. McVeigh was no stranger to law enforcement. In a stroke of serendipity, he had been arrested just 90 minutes after the bombing, not for the explosion, but for a minor traffic violation and illegal possession of a firearm. He was sitting in a county jail, oblivious to the fact that the investigative noose was tightening around him. As the pieces of the puzzle started to fit together, the Federal Bureau of Investigation announced an all-points bulletin for McVeigh. On April 21st, 2 days after the bombing, he was charged with the heinous act. The stage was set for one of the most high-profile trials in American history. The hunt for justice was on, and the nation watched with bated breath. The Oklahoma City bombing was not just an attack on a building, it was an attack on the very fabric of American society. And as the investigation unfolded, it promised to bring those responsible to justice. The trial of Timothy McVeigh was one of the most closely watched in American history. This was a case that gripped the nation and the world with a chilling narrative that seemed to spring from the pages of a thriller novel. In the heart of Denver, Colorado, the trial commenced on April 24, 1997, presided over by federal judge Richard Match. The prosecution presented a mountain of evidence, including remnants of the bomb, McVeigh's fingerprint-laden copy of the Turner Diaries, and security camera footage showing McVeigh renting the Ryder truck used in the bombing. Witnesses took the stand, their testimonies painting a vivid picture of the events leading up to that fateful day. One such key witness was Michael Fortier, McVeigh's former army buddy who testified against him in exchange for a reduced sentence. Fortier's testimony provided crucial insights into McVeigh's motives and planning. McVeigh's defense team, led by Stephen Jones, had a Herculean task ahead. They argued that McVeigh was a scapegoat, a pawn in a larger conspiracy. They suggested that additional perpetrators were involved and the government was covering it up to speed up the closure of the case. Despite their efforts, the jury was not swayed. After deliberating for 23 hours over a 4-day period, they found McVeigh guilty on all 11 federal counts, including conspiracy to use a weapon of mass destruction, use of a weapon of mass destruction, destruction by explosives, and 8 counts of first-degree murder. On June 2, 1997, McVeigh was sentenced to death. He remained largely unrepentant, viewing himself as a soldier in a war against a tyrannical government. His appeals failed, and his request for a stay of execution was denied. On June 11, 2001, McVeigh was executed, his death marking the end of a tragic chapter in American history. However, the scars of the bombing would linger, a poignant reminder of the day that changed the lives of so many forever. The Oklahoma City bombing forever changed the face of America. The echoes of that fateful day in April 1995 continue to reverberate, shaping the very fabric of the nation we know today. The immediate aftermath of the bombing saw a significant shift in the nation's focus towards domestic terrorism. The horror that unfolded in Oklahoma City forced America to confront the reality of threats from within its own borders. Thus, the law enforcement agencies underwent a radical transformation. Tactics were revised, intelligence sharing was bolstered, and a more proactive approach was adopted to preempt potential threats. In the wake of the event, there was a sweeping change in security measures across the country. Public buildings were fortified, stringent checks were put in place, and a culture of vigilance was fostered amongst the populace. The Oklahoma City bombing had a profound influence on the enactment of the Anti-Terrorism and Effective Death Penalty Act of 1996, a law that marked a pivotal moment in the nation's fight against terrorism. But it wasn't just laws and security that were affected. The bombing had a profound emotional impact on the nation, particularly on the residents of Oklahoma City. To honor the victims, survivors, rescuers, and all those affected by the bombing, the Oklahoma City National Memorial was created. This solemn place of remembrance serves as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the power of a community to come together in the face of adversity. The memorial, with its symbolic elements, the gates of time, reflecting pool, field of empty chairs, survivor's wall, and the rescuer's orchard, stands as a beacon of hope, a symbol of the strength that emerges from the ashes of despair. Though we remember the horror of that day, we also remember the resilience of a city, a state, and a nation. The legacy of the Oklahoma City bombing is one of transformation, resilience, and a renewed commitment to safeguarding the values that define us as a nation. As we come to the close of this detailed retrospective on the Oklahoma City bombing, we would like to take a moment to express our gratitude. Thank you, dear viewers, for your unwavering support and engagement. Your continued commitment to our content allows us to delve deeper into these critical historical events and share them with a wider audience. If you find our work insightful and wish to support us further, consider contributing to our Patreon. Every donation, no matter how small, helps us in our mission to educate, inform, and provoke thoughtful discussion. As always, your likes, shares, and comments are invaluable to us. They not only contribute to the growth of our channel, but also foster a community of knowledge seekers and history enthusiasts. So don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more in-depth content, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Your support helps us continue to bring you these comprehensive looks at historical events. Once again, thank you for your time and engagement. You truly make this journey worthwhile.